We talk a little bit about AI because it's important, and I'm curious how much that's affecting your day to day.
It's something I'm sort of personally passionate about of, we're a Google house, right? How are we using Gemini? How are we using flows? How are we automating our work? I think of it, a little bit of staying relevant. We spent some time on this talking about it's our 10-year birthday, right? And so 10 years ago when we launched, we were the smart young ones that knew everything about, honestly, Target, Cartwheel, and retail media at the time. So I would imagine if I was launching Digits today, that we would be launching as an AI first agency. And like, what does that mean? I don't even know exactly what that means, but like everything with AI, all of our reporting, all of our data, everything would be sort of built and backed up and managed by AI. Even as only a 20-person agency, trying to revamp everything we do and make everything AI is just harder to go backwards and rebuild than it is to start fresh, right? And so that's probably how I think of it as owner is how do we take on those practices so that we're staying fresh with, me 10 years ago who's launching an agency now, right? And are they going to leapfrog us from a specialty point of view and be able to be better at some of the things that we can be if we don't use, the newest tools? So that's how I think about it. That's how I talk to my team about it. And it changes every week, I would say, and what you can do. So it's not a set it and forget it type strategy, but we're definitely trying to stay at the forefront of how we as an agency can use those tools for our clients.
How about AI from a retail perspective? You've got the ability to now shop inside of ChatGPT potentially. And how is that going to impact your business and your service offerings?
I think it's all under the same bucket of how do you influence purchase decisions, right? And so when I started Digits, the only place we cared about was inside the Target app, right? We talked a lot about Cartwheel. And then it became, well, paid search is where we influence decisions. And then it's offsite was where we influence decisions. And so I think that would just be another spoke on the flywheel. I think today there's not a ton of paid tools. It's mostly organic. It's through content. It's through other ways, right, that you can help influence the LLMs. But there's a ton of money in retail media. So I'm sure those LLMs will start finding ways to tap into those buckets of money. And that's where I'd say firms like ours need to be first in, well, how are we running paid search in ChatGPT or whatever the functionality ends up being is where our team will lead in and try to be a leading agency in that space for brands.